Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Raina and it is May, so we are going to be talking about mental health in the workplace because May is Mental Health Month. So we're going to talk a little bit about how autism can impact your mental health, emotional health, and how that is related to your functioning at work. We want to talk about how building those stress management skills can build resilience and help make the job seeking and working process a lot easier, and about how to build those skills gradually and safely. We're also going to talk a little bit about why stress management is so difficult for teens and young adults with autism, and a little bit about how to find the right workplace fit to support your mental health needs. Before we dive into our topic today, just a little bit about us. We are Autism Services for Teens and Young Adults. We are licensed occupational therapists, or OTs. We are specialized in helping people with autism and other disabilities live independent and fulfilling lives. We focus on neurology, executive function, emotional and mental health supports, and we really try to help our patients be as independent as possible. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, you can go to our website, which is linked in the description below, and it's also on our website at Autism Services for Teens and Young Adults. So why are workplaces so stressful, especially for teens and young adults on the autism spectrum? So a lot of workplace demands, as we know, as if you have ever had a job, you know that a job requires you to manage your time, follow instructions, navigate sometimes a lot of unspoken social rules, and process a lot of sensory input, which means your brain is just processing all the noise and light and the crowds around you, maybe if there are crowds. So your brain is processing all of those things, and you're doing all of those kind of demands on the brain. And then that kind of clashes with what a lot of autistic teens struggle with, which is executive functioning challenges already, delayed emotional regulation development, so learning to calm yourself when you're stressed, and typically sensory sensitivities. So those are all kind of colliding and making things that much more overwhelming. As you know, if you've ever experienced a high level of stress, stress is not just emotional, it's also neurological. It's affecting the way your brain is working, and physiological, so it's affecting your body and your health. I know I definitely have gotten sick or gotten a cold when I'm really stressed because, your body's just processing so many other things, and stress can be really harmful for the body. So when stress isn't managed, in addition to like what I was saying, maybe you get sick, it can undermine your confidence, it can lead to burnout or just feeling like you're gonna snap at everybody one day. And it makes a lot of teens and young adults just getting started in the workplace want to avoid it or give up because the feeling of being stressed is so unpleasant. What this looks like to a lot of people is maybe laziness or lack of motivation. They just don't want to work, things like that. When really, there are some steps you can take to kind of mitigate those stress symptoms and, lessen the overload that people are experiencing. Let's talk a little bit about emotional regulation through executive functioning. So we talk a lot about executive functioning on our videos. You can go check them out for more, but just an overview of what executive functioning is. That is the system in your brain that helps you plan and organize, start tasks, especially tasks that you don't really want to do, like doing chores and homework and things like that, shift your attention, regulate emotions, and recover from your mistakes. Now, a lot of people in general are still developing these skills well into their young adulthood, especially teens with autism. Those skills tend to be a little bit delayed in that population. But when executive functioning is underdeveloped, it can build stress faster, recovery can take longer, and small challenges can feel very overwhelming. So when those situations continue to happen and the overwhelm just repeats and repeats and repeats, that's teaching your brain and your body that work is not a safe place to be and it's not enjoyable. So why would you want to do something that's never enjoyable and makes your body feel very stressed? Of course, you wouldn't want to do that. So to avoid that feeling of not wanting to go to work, feeling really stressed, feeling like it's a miserable experience, that's why we really encourage parents and teens to start very early as possible, building supported, safe experiences with stress management and with job skills to be able to build up to bigger challenges later on and eventually be able to manage stress and a job without completely burning yourself out. It's about just building that resilience because there's no job and no one's life is going to be stress-free forever. There's always going to be some stress. So it's important to be able to learn how to deal with those bumps along the way. Another really important thing beyond just learning how to manage stress is to pick the right job. So, more than a title or, the idea in your head of like, oh, I really want to work in this place. And then maybe you try that and it's so stressful, you can't handle it. That's okay. You might have to change the idea you had in your head or the idea that, you've been thinking you wanted to do because it's just not the right fit for you. The right fit will support your mental health, make you feel confident, and encourage your long-term success. So if you can feel that, oh yeah, I could do this job for another couple years at least, that's a really good sign that you're in a good spot. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this for another month, let alone another year, that's a sign that that challenge might be too high right now, or it just might not be a good fit, and you might need to try something else. So things to think about are the sensory environment of the job you're looking at. Do you get overwhelmed by a lot of noise, lights, movement, crowds, things like that? If that overwhelms you, you might need to look at jobs that are a little bit less stimulating. Kind of similar, which is the pace of your work. Do you get really overwhelmed by a fast-paced environment? You're constantly, let's say you work in a restaurant. Restaurants can be very fast-paced if you're busy. If that's something that excites you, great. If that's something that really overwhelms you, I know for me, I get really overwhelmed in a fast-paced environment like that. That's okay. You might just need to find something else. Other things to consider: communication style. Is this very verbal heavy, or are we writing a lot of emails? What works better for you? Do you like a lot of structure? Do you like a lot of routine? A lot of jobs don't have that. Do you need a lot of supervisor support? Do you need your supervisor around you very often to keep you on track? A lot of jobs don't have a lot of supervisor support. So those are all things to consider to make sure that your mental health is supported and you don't feel overwhelmed. Why does starting small matter? This is a process we also call scaffolding, which is just you're building on your experiences to do greater and greater challenges. So we really like these kind of things because they build your confidence without overwhelming you. If you go straight from never having a job to having a very stressful, demanding job, you're probably not going to like it very much. But if you, let's say, I'll use the restaurant again as an example. Let's say you start off as a busser. Sometimes in a restaurant, they'll make you start as a busser. You're just wiping down tables, you're taking plates, it's pretty easy to start. Maybe you're busy some days, maybe you're not, but you kind of get that practice. And then you build up those skills until eventually you can become a server. They're not just gonna make you a server the first day, because that's a really stressful job and you have to have specific skills to be able to do that. So that's what scaffolding is. It's the same with any kind of job or any kind of experience. We encourage you to start with small, lighter challenges in a safer environment where, no one's yelling at you, no one is stressing you out or threatening that they're going to fire you. This is why internships are a really good option. Volunteering is a really good option because there's no real stress about getting fired, not paying your bills, or something like that. And we really, really encourage people to do this as early as possible so that when you're young, your brain is what we call plastic. It's still getting molded. So you can really do a lot of learning when you're younger. It's never too late to start though. But we really love to see when teens have that early success. It builds their confidence, and then later on they're more willing and more confident about taking on bigger challenges. Let's talk about reasonable accommodations, another thing we talk about a lot. So if you want to learn more, check out our other videos. Reasonable accommodations are your right under the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. They are tools for you. It's not a crutch. It is your legally protected right to be able to access a workplace just like anyone else would. So they can help you reduce unnecessary stress and barriers so that you can just do your job well and you can do your best at work. Some examples of accommodations that you can ask your employer to implement to be able to do your job well are noise-canceling headphones. Those make a big difference for a lot of people. Even adjusted lighting, a quiet workspace, written instructions instead of verbal ones, checklists if you're forgetting what you need to do, timers, permission to take some breaks in between tasks, flexible pacing. You can ask for some check-ins with your supervisor. There are so many options. If you want more ideas about options for accommodations, you can check out the Job Accommodation Network website, and you can Google that, Job Accommodation Network. They have a ton of resources, and I believe they even have a helpline you can call and ask somebody questions. When those accommodations are in place, we find that people are more likely to stay regulated, recover from stress easier, they keep their jobs, and they build confidence instead of getting burnt out. So just like cooking or managing your money, stress management is a skill. You're not born with that. You don't know how to do it until you practice. So teens really need to learn these skills to be able to get a job and keep a job. They need to learn how to recognize when their stress level is rising, what that feels like in their body, and how that might present in life. What strategies can help them calm down, how to ask for support from their coworkers, their supervisors, and any caretakers or loved ones. And they need to know when to take a break. That's a very important self-advocacy skill that we want you to start practicing early. It's really important, as we said, to practice these skills in a low-stress environment first, and then build slowly over time, which will help build your confidence and your long-term success. Mental health really matters, especially in this big transition from teenagerhood to adulthood. It can be very stressful. So we want you to make it a priority. Stress at work is not a sign that your teen isn't capable. It's a sign that they just need some support and they need that practice. So as we talked about earlier, focus on finding the right fit for your child. Focus on building skills over speed. This is not a race. It's going to take a while. And help your child find good support systems and be a good support to your teen. If you need help or expert advice, please consider using an occupational therapist for support, vocational rehabilitation, or workplace readiness programs in your state. You can look at our website for more resources on that. When we protect our mental health, we protect our confidence, our independence, and our long-term success. And we wish you the very best of luck. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.